Hails and welcome to Rauta's Vinyl Unboxing Monday. This time we have a band from Russia, which is technically speaking a couple of years album now. I don't know why the band in question wanted to approach me with a little bit older one, but I am kind of prone to say, yes, of course. Of course, this is interesting because the previous album was actually pretty good. This is second to Sun from Russia. But before we take an unboxing look at this vinyl, let's take a quick look at the band's past. Coming from St. Petersburg 2011, the band has put out a few albums and a lot of smaller releases, mostly singles, but some EPs along the way. So as you can see, the band has been always very active when it comes to the releases. Now the previous one I reviewed was actually The Walk from 2018, so there has been a couple of albums ever since between two. Why the band wanted to touch me about Nocturnal Philosophy, get in touch that is. I don't know, this is pretty peculiar, but nonetheless I'm judging. And this is how it says, raw black metal early, post-black / groove metal later. I don't know where this groove metal statement comes from. Feels like a little bit far-fetched to me based on what I know, but maybe the albums between this and the previous one I got to listen and review would explain it. This, however, is black metal, or at very least post-black. But let's talk about it after I have reviewed it, unboxed it for you, and then we get to discuss that stuff. This one comes with a strip. In some cases, especially the Asian versions, call this obi strip. I don't know if that counts as one because there's no Asian letters anyway here, not Chinese, not Japanese whatsoever. So I don't know where the line is drawn, but I'm not here to judge that. Then we have, of course, have this nice looking vinyl. We have some rather skeletal looking people, can we call them people? Undead approaching this prisoner. I don't know why, but I'm getting a little bit Conan the Barbarian vibe to this. Maybe because I've been reading about it. And inside the gatefold, we have some liner notes. We have some text. And then we have obviously the band photos. So here it goes. Maybe you can just check it out, figure out the information, what do you need, and take a look. And as you can see, this gatefold opens nicely. So the art is actually divided into both sides of things. So pretty nice packaging, and consider that this is actually self-financed. Now I don't get it really why, because vinyl pressing isn't exactly cheap, and getting gatefold and special ones, oops, this is what even happen when you mess up. These kind of splatter ones, I would say these are even more special feeling. This is not 180 grams, this is a little bit too flappy for that, but I don't know, I don't really care. But in case you give a damn it about being sturdy and all, now you know. But coming from self-financed ones, this feels like a little bit weird. However, there are a couple of labels mentioned here, so I don't know if it's really totally self-financed or it's something that the band did with an album in collaboration, whatever. Here it says, however, independent. And if you take a look at the other versions, here it again says independent. Even this is vinyl and CD. So once again, limited edition red black splatter vinyl released in late 2022 and labeled as independent, and STS, that is Second to Sun, number 43. Maybe they got enough money, maybe they're financially independent, which is of course a great thing if band can afford that, especially in the world situation we are now, where things are on the rise. All the prices and all that stuff, and sending vinyl never is cheap. Anyway, let's get into the very facts of the album. So only a few songs, which are quite on the lengthy side, 43 minutes overall. One could imagine, okay, this is where it gets very atmospheric and never-ending, endlessly lasting songs coming from the post-rock, post-metal side. Now, technically speaking, because this definitely flirts with the post-black metal side. There is this post thing where you just kind of let yourself do 12-minute tracks and not even bat an eye. In many cases, I would say it's definitely a minor side of things. I often feel like a lot of bands that go like beyond this is no clear marker, but let's call it for the sake of an argument. Go beyond the 6 or 8 minutes marker, and then they're like, okay, they're overextending their stay, and that is not exactly good for the music because it lacks memorability, and in certain levels this means catchiness or however to able to grasp the whole idea with the albums. That is, when bands are more like keeping the structure shorter, it means more a little bit more repetition, and as such, like, okay, this makes songs. You have like riff A, riff 2, maybe a bridge part and 10 chords, and then you go back to other ideas. I mean, it just works for so many bands like that. I mean, whether we are talking about pop song, rock song, metal song, a lot of classic songs have rather short and simple ways to do it. And when you go for the world of post-black, post-rock, what have you, then these 12-minute songs, 10-minute songs start appearing, and you're like, okay, I didn't see this coming, and sometimes it doesn't work, rarely it does. This is one of those rarely does cases with Nocturnal Philosophy, because in my opinion, this is actually like a journey that seems like a little bit too lengthy, but then you end up enjoying it. It's almost like if you had like a too big of a pint, too strong a beer, and you're like, okay, this is gonna get me fucked. I am not gonna enjoy the whole trip here. This is getting like too warm and shit before I get to finish it. So I did a mistake. But somehow you end up liking it. Maybe it's because the booze gets into your head, or maybe because the song structures actually make sense. Maybe it's partially because this is more like a flowing, I don't know, waves and all. And you're like, okay, I didn't like it as an idea, but whatever works in the end works. And this is, in my opinion, rather good of an album. I gave this quite a few spins. I lost track along the ways because I've been spinning this most workday that is quite a few hours. And while I'm still not, getting the feeling that the songs are exactly memorable, at least I really like the atmosphere within. That is, there are lots of cool melodies, there are lots of parts where you just kind of get that feeling going on, even with the lengthy songs and all. And there's a certain kind of melancholia present, which I guess speaks to me in a way a lot of those other songs don't. I mean, the songs where you just like try to be aggressive and then you do it for 6 minutes and I'm for 8 minutes and I'm like, yeah, it didn't really work that way. I mean, in comparison to sports, when you're looking for a, I don't know, a UFC match where you just like feel like the punches are being thrown or submissions are made and you're like, okay, whew, that was heavy 3 minutes. And then there are those matches, and this could be any kind of sport, where you just feel like nothing is really happening. You're just basically staring it down, waiting for it to end, and then, be it as it may, some part of the game is like saved by the bell, and you're like, okay, this goes to judges' decision and all. But in this case, it somehow manages to be interesting despite not too many catchy parts are happening. And I can say the vocals are supporting this as much as the production. And there are faster parts which then again kind of create the contrast that makes it interesting. I mean, where it's sometimes like really just, flowing around like this post-metal thing. Then when you have these bursts, it's just like, okay, now I get it. So overall, I would say this is a good album. Way better than I kind of expected. Maybe I was expecting the kind of a nice but no thanks kind of no cigar kind of an album. And now I feel like this is a big step up from the previous one, which was already quite decent. This is just a lot better. In case you're not allergic to post-black or whatever, I would say give this a go. They're good melodies, good atmospheric parts, and a little bit of aggression in the mix when you just make it all go together, fix it like that. It makes sense. It's way better than whatever I could describe it. And of course, if you like the physical product, this LP is pretty sweet. Now, off you go, and I hope you like it. Take a look at the links below, provided in the description box, and then you can just check out the music and figure out for yourself. Thanks for your time. Should you have any questions, let me know.